Right, so I'm working on the Fairlane today, and I have to replace the lash adjusters because it's got the typical older six-cylinder Ford Falcon little tap when one of the hydraulic lifters or lash adjusters are properly, what's their proper term or name, whatever. So as you can see, I've already taken the spark plug leads, or taken them off the spark plugs. I've also undid the throttle cable, which needs to be replaced. As you can see, there's a couple of bolt holes down here which hold the bracket, hold the bracket on, which goes down there to the actual throttle body. Car's been running really well. I did a decarbonise the motor the last couple of days. We just drove up the Sunshine Coast and was running very well, good fuel economy. Just every now and again the lazy lifter sound will come and go, and I thought, well, since I'm going to be gone for a long time and I've got a new set here and a torque wrench, it's about time that I did them, and should last another 250,000 k's hopefully. So yeah, that's the start of the video. I'll do a few more videos throughout once I take this rocker cover off. It's too hot at the moment. I'm still letting the engine to cool down, just taking the accessories and clearing up the area so I've got nothing in the way once I take it off or any dirt drops in. I've got a new gasket there and I'll be able to scrape off all this old, someone's dodgied it up at some stage. But yeah, so until the next video. Alright, so we're back again. I've finally got the rocker cover off, and just having a bit of an inspection of all the rocker arms and the assembly. Nothing seems to be cracked or overly worn. I'm still waiting for this to cool down a little bit. I had to peel off all the old rocker cover gasket, which was absolutely perished. And here's the rocker cover over here, and just from first inspection of it, it doesn't really look that dirty, which gives a good indication of the additives that I put in this engine, or the people prior to it actually did regular oil changes, which is essential. But from what I can see so far, it looks pretty good. A little bit carbony, but that's to be expected of a car of this age. So the next is for this whole assembly here to come off, and then that will expose the camshaft. And what I'm trying to replace, these things in here, and they're called lash adjusters or hydraulic lifters or whatever you want to call them. And they run off oil pressure, and once they fail they make that typical tit 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 noise that you hear on the older Falcons. Not a really overly complex job, but one that I do really want to do properly so it's done right the first time. Anyway, we'll see you soon. So I've been cleaning up all the old gasket goo that was around there because someone was lazy and didn't just buy a new seal. But I've been going through each one of these, and all of them are pretty good. And then you get to this one, there's the problem lifter. This one under there is the one that's causing the trouble. And I've inspected all the way around it. It's not cracked or anything like that, so just going to go ahead very soon and undo this rocker assembly, making sure that nothing falls out of place, and then replace all the lifters. But that is your typical sound. Just that little tiny part under there needs replacing between the rocker arm and the valve. And that's your normal tap 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 noise, so shouldn't be too hard. Alright, see how I go. So we've got all the rocker assembly off. The camshaft doesn't have any big gouges, valve springs, and they all look pretty good. Not really gummed up under here. Engine's been looked after somewhat. Timing chain seems pretty tight still. Rocker assembly's over here, which I've already pulled out all the lifters, or lash adjusters. Some of them needed to be tapped out. They're seated in there pretty well. I believe they're the originals. But yeah, I'm just cleaning up this rocker assembly now. All looks good, no cracks. So I should have this back together this afternoon. But unfortunately, right at the back of the motor, my long 10mm impact socket for torquing down or doing anything, you know, with a lot of tension, will not fit underneath the back here. So I have to go down to Autobarn and get a short nose, or just a short socket rather, 10mm 1/2" drive. So I can torque down this rocker assembly, especially at the back, properly to this specified torque setting between 20 and 30 Newton meters. So that's what I'm in the process of doing now, going down to Autobarn, and hopefully have this thing running and all fixed up this afternoon. See how we go. Okay, so we've got all the rocker gear assembly back on. It's a bit hard to see with the sun in the background, but I gave it a bit of a clean up. It's all torqued down to spec, and I poured a good heap of oil over the top of it. So I'm about to put the rocker cover gasket back on. Excuse me. Then tighten that back down, hook the leads back up, put the accelerator cable back on, and then give her a test run. So, see how it goes. It's looking good so far. Alright. Okay, so it's a day later, and it's all back together now. Finally got it to work properly. I had issues with the rocker assembly being too dirty inside the rocker shafts themselves. So today I pulled the rocker assembly off, primed all the lifters because they were pretty. I didn't prime them yesterday by mistake. It was a lot quieter when I put it back together, but it still had a couple of lazy lifter sounds. So I decided to pull the whole thing apart, strip the whole assembly down, clean every part, and that's where I found in the little rocker arm oiling holes that oil the lash adjusters. There was some deposits from the old lifters in there, so that was actually blocking the oil from getting through to the lifters. So I cleaned that all up with some cleaner, wiped it all down, gave it some assembly lube, put it all back together, and started it up. And as you'll soon see, not the slightest bit of valve or lifter sound now. So she's all fixed. There you go.